soft shell vest, the whole 9 yards. Had to trim the beard and look like thing. I don't like networking events. Like, I absolutely hate them. I always feel so awkward at them. It's never a good look for me. So, anyway, we're back. Jay, how are you this week?
I am good. It is normal gray Seattle. It is wonderful though.
Apparently,
So
that's really foggy out there. So, my wife was just telling me a few minutes ago.
yeah,
Like
I've
pea
noticed that.
soup fog. Like, real
Yeah,
bad. I was like, where did this come
and
from?
it's foggy and it's cold.
Yes, it is. But that's okay. You're here hanging out with us, so we want to appreciate everybody who's already in the chat. Remember, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, go ahead and throw them into the chat. We'll try and hit those at the end of the show. Uh, I denied his tech, bro, Alex. What the fuck, bro? No, I'm sorry. I'm not showing up to the show looking like I can't do it. I can't.
Why?
Because
Are you embarrassed to show us who you really are?
this is who I really am. Like, that's me. And I
Sure.
picked up Jordan at her friend's house, and see, my wife just said right there, it's funny to see him in his cosplay. And I picked up Jordan at her friend's house, and her friend's dad actually kind of reminds me of you, Jay. Like, I think you guys would get along. Like, you kind of
Oh,
got that same vibe, right?
nice.
And I was like, he looked at me. I was like, this is my corporate guy cosplay that we got, and he was like, oh my god. So it was pretty bad. So with that, we're gonna get rocking and rolling. Let's hit some today's breaking news up front. I actually broke this to Jay during the pre-show.
Yeah.
So early this morning, a little before 7 a.m. this morning, the CEO of United Healthcare, which is the largest health insurance provider in the country, was can only be determined, like, called assassinated on the streets of New York. If you go onto the Twitters or various other social media platforms, the video is floating around, the surveillance video from the hotel he was staying at. Um, Guy, like, rolled up behind him with a suppressed pistol, and that was it. Right in front of a witness. That guy was not going to be deterred.
And he didn't care that he was seen. Like, he let the witness go. He just did his business and kept walking on a busy New York like nothing happened.
So this brought forth a few interesting reactions, very similar to kind of what's going on in the chat right now, which is a lot of people were like, my thoughts and prayers are out of network. Uh,
That's funny.
did they check whether the ambulance was in network before they took him to the hospital? Um, Simultaneously, Blue Cross and Blue Shield announced today that they're not covering full length anesthesia for surgeries. And people were like, well, probably not the best day to
What?
announce that, Blue Cross. Like, uh,
Unrelated.
uh,
Completely unrelated. Unrelated, guys.
again, some of the other stuff is, how many people who've had healthcare denied? Like, there's probably a million people out there in the country with a motive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
do you think with the stuff that happened with January 6th and increasing levels of this, do you think this might become a new normal? That's my question to you, Jay. Is does this start becoming a new normal in our country?
Just
Like,
like
you see,
people assassinating people?
yeah, like you see this in Central America and places like that and other parts of the world where uh like assassinating corporate leaders and stuff like that. Like, this is not weird in Colombia or Venezuela or Eastern Europe, right? But we've kind of been insulated, right? Somebody in the chat's bringing up school events, right? Have they becoming normalized? Do you think this kind of thing? Do you think that this brings about copycats? Do you think that this brings about other people who are like, you know what? Maybe we just need to start icing CEOs.
I honestly don't think it's going I don't think that's like the conversation. I think it's more so of like, hey, like look at that guy. Like that guy was able to do this. I could do it too. Like and just kind of doing it to people that they don't like. I don't know. This does seem, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say like someone hired a hitman, right? But like, I don't know. Most of the times, like, I don't know, with like active shooters, I always feel like it was like, well, that could have been way worse, but they weren't like super knowledgeable or whatever. This one though was like very well executed. I don't really know. I don't know. What do you think? Is this going to be the new norm?
I worry that it is. I worry that it is. So for those that don't know in the chat, and some people who don't, who may not, prior to me opening my game store, and then now that I've left my game store, my business is actually corporate security. This is what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly enough, my boss flew in today for this event we were going to. We were discussing this both before and after the event at dinner, and a couple of things strike me as odd here. One, CEOs of this caliber, of this size of a company, typically do not move without an executive protection team, right? It's
Wait, is this going to turn into a plug for your company?
no. I'm sure we'll be getting phone calls. And we'll get to that in a second. These guys usually don't move without executive protection teams. They just don't, right? Because if you're a CEO, especially if you're somebody like a Bezos or a Gates, first off, there's just straight up crazy people out there. There was a guy who believed that Bezos owed him $40 and was hunting him. Like there's just goofball wacko people out there. So these guys usually don't move out. So the fact that he was on a street in Manhattan at 7 a.m. by himself was weird, right? That's odd. And it's odd that they don't have an EP team with him. They could have cut the EP team because they didn't think that the threat level was high and they didn't want to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's possible because security is not cheap. Especially EP security, it's not inexpensive. All that to say as well, I guarantee you there are a lot of companies out there all day today that have been calling their security vendors going, we might need to increase security for a while.
So, since you're like the expert in this, do you think this shooter monitored this guy and then realized that this guy had a pattern where, like, okay, every, I don't know, Wednesday at 7 a.m., he's unprotected?
No, there was a shareholder meeting for UHC in New York today. All that stuff's public information. Figuring out which hotel he was probably staying at takes a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine my guess, and again, this is a guess, my guess is that it was, he put himself in a position where he thought he might have a chance, and his chance showed up and he took it.
Yeah.
Sounds like something there actually was a Law and Order episode, except, and I love me some Law and Order. My wife knows this. All right. Like, bum, bum. All right. Like, it was my official business travel show for a long time because it was always playing on TNT. And so no matter what hotel I was in around the country, when it was late at night and you're in one of those fucking, Hilton business class in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing to do, you can watch a Law and Order marathon. Anyway, that episode, it was a body armor manufacturer. He was a CEO of a body armor company who was gunned down by a soldier whose friend died in the war because they were selling faulty body armor.
Wow.
So again, yes, it does sound like to go with what Chat's saying. Yeah, it sounds like a Law and Order episode for sure. This is the type of civil unrest stuff, though, that does, again, it could start to become normal. I think people are starting to get frustrated with corporate power.
Frustrated, but why?
But why?
Sarcasm.
And by the way, legal note, we're not advocating you go out and start murking CEOs, okay?
Nope.
Like, that's not what we're saying.
Nope. Absolutely not.
We're looking at this from are we shocked? No. The types of companies that you would expect this kind of reaction to, not surprising.
Yeah.
right? I will be supremely surprised if it turns out they find this guy and it was totally random. Again, based on the video, he had a target, right?
Yeah.
Like Jay said, you could see in the video, there's somebody standing 6 feet to his right, just a bystander, like just standing there, and he was like, did not care. Guns out, bam, right? And he was maybe 10 feet behind the guy?
Yep.
You know, this was somebody on a mission. So there you go. That's your first breaking news for today.
That's what we opened with. And to be fair, I put down a lovely topic for Alex, and it was titled, "Is Poop Real?" And he deleted that and was like, we're going to open with this assassination.
Oh, man. Again, he's an insurance CEO. People don't like insurance companies. Chat's talking about, you must be cracked if you're going to go down him. I don't know. Somebody in the chat loves this topic, though, so I'm glad you guys enjoy it. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. That was a heck of a start to the day news-wise. I was like, holy smokes, what are we doing, folks? There you go. Also, just a thought, maybe we could do something about the guns.
What do you mean? No, we can't do. What?
A thought.
The guns never killed anyone.
Yeah.
It's the people.
Chats, once again, bring up the internet, responded with a lot of sarcasm. Yeah, they're not getting a lot of sympathy. Or empathy in this case. They're not. So the internet reaction has mostly been, which I actually, again, from a security and a threat perspective, that's actually telling as well. Right? If you want to look at it from a threat assessment perspective, and I've done a lot of threat assessments, the idea that this guy had been getting threats, enough threats to where his wife knew about it, where he'd talked to her about it. And the fact that the reaction from the general public has just been kind of blasé, right? Very as chat's bringing up, a lot of comments about, was it a pre-existing condition? Was he out of network? That's kind of the reaction that the public's getting. And so when you're seeing what can only be shown, and again, this is why I asked whether this becomes the new normal, because anybody else who's considering something like this or doing something like this, when the reaction of the general public is basically, does that start to become a new normal in a way that we haven't really seen in this country before?
Do you think in 2 years this is going to be made into a Mark Wahlberg movie at all?
No, not Mark Wahlberg. I'll be very curious to see how long it takes and whether they actually catch the guy.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. That was that. So let us know down in the comments what you guys think, and we'll move on to our next topic. Okay, see that topic. That's an interesting one. I may not want to do that one today. Because this
what
actually,
are you talking about?
In the chat.
Oh.
I may want to do that one, but I don't know if I want to do it today. On that, there's actually been some interesting developments on that today. And again, I just don't know if it's a today topic. Because I think Jay and I would want to sit down and... Jay, do you see the one I'm seeing?
About bathrooms?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in our future stuff, in our rundown doc. So don't think that I'm ignoring it, but I do want to give that one some thought before we tackle it. There are certain things that I think we're willing to tackle on the show that in previous iterations of the show we wouldn't have done, that I think we are willing to do now. That being said, I think we want to be thoughtful about it. Would you agree with that, Jay?
Yeah, definitely.
So keep throwing those topics in there, though, chat. So if you got any stuff for us to chat about at the end of the show, review stuff that you want to talk about, stuff you may have seen in the news or in entertainment this week, let us know. We're going to chat. Okay. Jay, we're going to move on to one of your happier topics now, okay? Because there's some new anime out.
I don't even know like how to transition from an
Just
assassination
we're
to
we're just
anime.
we're just clean through. It's
Ugh.
good.
All right. Well, you suggested we should watch an anime called Overlord. So, what did I go and do? I started a new anime and it wasn't Overlord. I'm sorry. I actually just subscribed to Crunchyroll through Amazon, and I was on there. I meant to look up Overlord, but then I got stopped by this anime that's called Dan to Dan. Oh my gosh, Dan to Dan,
Don da don.
Don to Don.
So in
I don't
Japanese, it'd
know.
be a da sound. Don da don.
Don.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very interesting title. I've seen it like abbreviated. I've seen it. Got me all excited. I'm sorry. I've seen it as just one word. I've seen it abbreviated. I'm not really sure, but anyway, so it looks like this anime originally debuted back in 2021 in Shonen Jump, which I actually didn't even know was still around. I thought that thing has died off, but that's good to know that it's still around. Then it became an anime in 2024. This is directed by a Fuga Yashiro, and I am so
Yamashiro.
sorry, Yamashiro. Now this is his first project as a director, and I think it is amazing. There is something about this anime that's really drawing me to it.
Now,
It is produced by a company called Science Saru,
mm-hmm.
which was founded in 2013. Now, going through their list of all the stuff that they've done, one thing caught my eye. They actually produced 2 episodes on Star Wars Visions, a TO-B1 and Akakiri, better
Yeah.
known as episode 6 and episode 9 of season 1.
Yeah. So have you watched the Star Wars Vision stuff?
I have. There were like some episodes that didn't really appeal to me. There were some that I loved. So episode 6, if I remember correctly, this was like the Astro Boy kind
Yep.
of one.
Yep. That's
And
TB01.
I didn't really care about that one, to be honest. But then episode 9, I'm pretty sure I remember liking that. I would have gone back and rewatched it, but I literally just canceled Disney Plus. So whoops.
How are you gonna cancel Disney Plus, man?
It's like one of those things where I just haven't been watching anything on Disney Plus for like a few months. So I was like, I'm gonna cancel it for like a few months and then come back to it. I'm just not going to sit there and pay for it every single month.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like boycotting Disney Plus or anything. I'm just kind of like waiting for new content to come out. But
Yeah.
and I picked like the wrong time to bring up Disney Plus content and not be able to go back and watch it. So, but
Yeah. So go back to Don to Don.
yeah, let's go back. So the plot is really interesting. So the plot is about this girl. They're in like high school or something. Um, it's about this girl who sticks up for this like nerdy boy who's getting picked on. Now she believes in ghosts. He believes in aliens. They both make fun of each other. They're like, ghosts, that's so stupid. Ghosts aren't real. And she's like, aliens aren't real. You're stupid. So they both dare each other to go to a place to try to see aliens or ghosts. Um, I'm not gonna like spoil anything, but the girl gets abducted by aliens, and they're really creepy males who yeah, like they come from a planet where they're all males. They travel a long distance to abduct females. I don't think I can you can piece that together. And then the boy gets possessed by a demon. Um and kind of the whole basis of it is they help each other out, they become friends, they start catching the feels for one another. Um Very typical, but there's something about the style of this anime that is so appealing. You have to watch it. Maybe like watch the trailer. Um I don't know. There's something that like really draws me in and just kind of like caught my attention. And the next thing I knew, I watched like 6 episodes of it in
Okay.
one sitting. So
It is rated TVMA. Would you say that is it graphic?
they talk about some graphic. Okay. Very funny thing. So the demon comes out with the boy and she looks at him. The first line that she says is, "I'm going to gobble your dong." That's a direct quote. So yeah, not kid friendly
No,
whatsoever at
definitely
all.
not.
Um,
If you Google, I'll do it in the chat here, the name.
dun,
If
dun,
you
dun,
if you
dun.
put that into Wikipedia or one of those ones, it'll come up. Um, is it English dubbed or
Yes.
is it sub?
So you can watch it dubbed on Crunchyroll. So if you
Okay.
don't want to like watch subtitles, I know that's a super controversial subject of subtitles dubbed, but either way, you can watch it. It is pretty graphic. They don't show like nudity or anything like that, but I would say the content's not meant for children.
Okay. There you go. So there's your anime recommendation for the week, folks. Go check out Dawn to Dawn. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. It sounds like it's got some very like core anime stuff to it that, makes anime kind of comfort watching. So there you go. Go check that out. If you've watched it, let us know down in the comments below and tell us what you thought of it. All right. Let's do this. Let's go to movies. Should we do movies next?
Yeah.
I saw somebody bring up some stuff. All right, so somebody brought up Moana 2 in the chat. So we're going to talk a little bit about movies. Earlier this year, movie theaters were freaking out, right? Because after COVID and then kind of like we had just started recovering from COVID and the theater business when they had the writers and actors strike last year, which proceeded to completely gunk up the release schedule and things like that. So the first part of this year, with the exception of Dune 2, was kind of a desert for new films, right? And people were really freaking out for a while. And things kind of took a turn in July with the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, and Inside Out 2 earlier that summer did really, really well. This weekend, they set a record, right? This is the highest grossing Thanksgiving weekend in history. It beat the weekends where Endgame was out in theaters for Thanksgiving, right? It beat a bunch of stuff. It was a big, big weekend for the theaters. Let's jump over here to the thing and we can show you. So here you go. This is from good old Box Office Mojo. Moana opened with 139 million this weekend, right? Wicked made another 81 million, right? Which is only a 30% drop, which is huge for that's a very, very small drop for box office. Especially when you have a 100 million plus opening weekend. Gladiator still didn't have a huge drop, 31 million. Red One made 12. They made a buttload of money this weekend. The theaters were packed over the holiday weekend. And again, Moana 2 just straight out the gate, just blast off to 139 million. For a total gross so far of 225 million. Wicked is at 263. Gladiator's at 111. So, what do you think, Jay? I mean, have we finally gotten over the hangover? Like, are movie theaters back?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it is. I mean, it's kind of sad that we're not coming out with those Dune and popcorn buckets. Maybe that's why people
Maybe.
finally got tired of those things, so they're
Well,
going back to the movies. I don't
we
know.
had the Deadpool and Wolverine one too.
Oh, the Wolverine one I forgot about. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I think they're back. I mean, and this is great. This is you can always tell that your society is moving up a level by the quality of movies that are being released in the theater. When they're very high, like Moana's playing, people aren't going to get assassinated on the street, anything like that. So, I mean, But no, this is great, and I do think like the movie kind of business is back, and the AMC stock is also, I've noticed, kind of on a upward trend
It's
right now.
ticking up. I actually had my wife buy some. She's like, "Should I buy some more AMC stock?" I was like, "Yes." This was right before Thanksgiving. I was like, "Yes, buy it now," because they're gonna have a great fourth quarter. Because we also got stuff coming. That Mufasa movie's coming out soon,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
Sonic the
forgot about
Hedgehog
that.
3 is coming out soon,
Yeah,
right? With Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. What?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Oh yes. Keanu is Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's epic.
Okay. And I don't know. Have you seen the first two Sonic movies?
Yeah.
They were.
Yep.
I thought they were solid. Not like this is the greatest movie, but they're just fun, solid, and I think they captured the spirit of Sonic the Hedgehog very, very well.
Did you watch the Knuckles series?
I did.
Okay,
I
I
thought
have not.
I thought it was. It's not as good as the films, but it's well put together. And Idris as Knuckles is great. Thank God for Idris Elba. I did take my little one to see Moana 2 over the weekend. It's a solid film. Once again, Dwayne The Rock Johnson just kills it as Maui. Okay, like he was born, and they're doing the live action. They're actually filming the live action right now with him as Maui for the original. The music was not as good as the first one, but also it wasn't written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so take that for what it's worth.
Hmm.
Gladiator 2 is a solid film. I haven't gotten around to seeing Wicked yet. It's not really in my wheelhouse, and it's a long movie. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not that long.
Dude, that's a long time. That's a long movie.
I don't know. I think you're just like, psyching yourself out.
Um, yeah, somebody in the chat brought up, I want to see Wicked, but knowing it's only the first half of the musical and they plan on doing a second movie, meh. That's a thing. It's a risk. It's a risk to do part one, part two, right? You saw it with Lord of the Rings. You see it with Infinity War and Endgame. You see a lot of that stuff. So it's that. Again, I'm really happy for them. Hell, Venom even made 2 million in the theaters, and it's like 7th week, 8th week, 6th week.
Wow.
Venom made 2 million. Bonhoeffer, which I've seen some stuff about, that made 2.3. Again, Red One made 12. It's up to 75. It's not gonna break even, but it's getting close. Yeah. I mean, like you brought, I think it is good. I think that having shared cultural touchstones is good.
Yeah. Core memories.
Core memories. Stuff that you can make inside jokes about with your friends.
Yeah.
Right? So I never see that as a bad thing. I will be curious to see how much Moana 2 drops this weekend. But the fact that it came out that strong, the fact that Wick is still going strong, and I think is going to continue to go strong. Let's take a look. Hang on a second. I want to look at the release schedule. Release date changes. What do we got? Hang on. Trying to find the release schedule. So what's still coming out? Upcoming releases. Here we go. So, December. Do we have anything big this weekend? No. Nothing major this weekend, which is probably good. Kraven the Hunter comes out on the 12th.
Oh,
and they released the first 8 minutes of it. Have you watched?
Really?
They released the first 8 minutes online, and it's doing pretty good. People are pretty happy. I know that Madam Web and Morbius were both meh,
God.
but the Venom movies are solid. I want to think that Kraven's going to be interesting.
It looks so good. I hope it's so good.
I hope it's good.
Madam Web is probably the only Marvel movie I've never finished. I got like 30 minutes in and just
let's be clear, that's a Sony movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
That's Sony, not Marvel. And that has to do with Marvel's with the rights that Sony has. So
Yeah.
Sony is contractually required to release a Spider-Man movie or Spider-Man adjacent movie. I think it's every 3 years. And if they don't, they lose the rights to Spider-Man. So even if stuff bombs, they have to keep releasing films. December 13th. What's that?
Who's the CEO of Sony?
Right now, Sony Pictures Group.
Yeah. Who is this person?
Tony Vinciquerra is the CEO of Sony Pictures.
Do we know anything about him?
Let me see what I got about him. Where did he come from? He was a Texas Pacific Group, so hedge fund dude. 10 years at Fox, not Fox. Well, part of Fox News, but Fox Cable Network, Fox Sports, Fox Networks, like the Simpsons stuff. What else did he do? Hearst Argyle Television, CBS. He's been in the entertainment business for a long time. Long time. Started as a station manager of WBZ TV in Boston in 1986. So, he's been around for a minute. So but the Sony deal, so when before Marvel was acquired by Disney, Marvel was going through hard financial times. And if everybody remembers, they were selling off rights to anybody who would buy them just to stay afloat. The comics division would, right? Which is how you ended up with X-Men at Fox, Hulk at Universal, Spider-Man at Sony. Now, one of the reasons that Disney acquired Fox is they wanted their rights back. And Fox had a lot of them. Fox had Fantastic Four. Fox had the X-Men. Fox had a few others. And Marvel was like, we need that back. Okay? We're just going to buy Fox. It's fine. Right? Sony got the rights to Spider-Man, which is, again, this is before the Sam Raimi Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, right? Because they produced those movies, right? And they said, we want, but part of their deal is they have to produce a new Spider-Man movie every 3 years. If they fail, the rights revert back to Marvel. So Sony will never not release something, right? To reset that clock, right? Which is why you get all this stuff. Universal has the distribution rights for Hulk, which is why somebody was on John Campus. They were asking him about this, and he answered, why isn't there any solo Hulk films? Because if Disney made a solo Hulk film, Universal's the automatic distributor. Disney doesn't get to distribute it. Universal does, right? That's why they can put Hulk in their movies, but it can't be a Hulk movie. Okay? Because then NBC Universal becomes the distributor, and they don't want that. So, that's why we get a lot of Hulk, but no Hulk films. Not since the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk, which is, I think, the only one they did under that deal. And then Disney was like, screw that, we're not doing that anymore. And then, of course, Marvel and Sony have the deal to allow Spider-Man to be in the MCU, and they have a fund-sharing deal. So all the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland that are produced by Disney, they have a deal where they share the production costs, and then each of them get a cut of the box office. And the box offices on those have been so good that Sony's just like, dope.
Yeah.
We're happy, right?
Yeah.
I will say their Spider-Verse films have been amazing.
Oh, yes.
The two Spider-Verse films have been great. The third one's in production now. I have every faith that Lord and Miller are going to knock that third one out of the park. No doubt. Again, the Venom trilogy has been pretty solid. I think they've kind of been a mild step down, but I think Tom Hardy he cracked the code with Venom.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot to look forward to. Oh, here we go. What else is coming? War of the Rohirrim. This is one I'm really looking forward to. The Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim, which is an animated film in Lord of the Rings universe that's about the War of the Rohirrim that happens before then. Then we have Sonic the Hedgehog and Mufasa, which I am really looking forward to. Weirdly, we don't really have a lot on Christmas Day. Nosferatu being the most, the big one there. And that brings us to the end of the year when, we get to the beginning of the year again where people stop releasing stuff because we're into Oscar season and we're done. Until February, which is when Captain America comes out. Right? So, do you prefer movies in the theater, Jay?
Oh, heck yeah. 100%.
They just hit better. What was the last movie you saw in the theater?
Last movie. I'm pretty sure it's Wicked.
You saw Wicked?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was the last one because
well, it was only 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, I did the screen unseen Monday. That Monday. It turned out to be Gladiator 2, so then I had to cancel my Gladiator 2 tickets. And then I went and saw Wicked, I think that Saturday. So
see, all you got to do is go get you some Moana 2 sometime this week, and you'll have the top 3 movies in theaters right now.
Yeah, maybe this weekend I'll go. Have to see.
I think it's a solid movie. Again, it's fun. Did you watch the first one?
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, here's to hoping the movie theaters are back. We like movie theaters. They're so... They just hit different, I think, in the theaters. Like Gladiator or Star Wars or stuff like that. Like, I think seeing it in the theater is different than watching it on your couch.
Yeah, I think, and maybe this is just me, but like when you get outside of your house, like it becomes like an event, right? Especially after COVID. And then like if I'm on my couch, there's a million things to like distract me. Like my dogs could come up and be like, look at what I decided to eat today. And I'm like, cool. Or they need to go outside. People are texting me on my phone. Like movies aren't probably getting 100% my attention. But when I go to a movie theater, I'm like locked in, right? Like, or at least I hope I am.
So actually that brings up something, to talk about. So I was actually talking to a friend about it the other day. So I know you have A-list, right?
Yes.
Right. And then my other buddy, Chris, has A-list, and we were talking to our friend Colin, and he was like, why you guys have this A-list thing? And I'm like, 3 movies a week for $21. Right. And here's the thing. Somebody in the chat brought up the cost of movie tickets. The reason I have stuck with A-list, right, and I think you'll back me up on this, is if I average 2 movies a month, I've paid for it.
Yep.
I've paid for my A-list subscription. And unlike Regal, AMC does not charge you an upgrade fee for IMAX or Dolby. So if you're going to like the Dolby Prime or the IMAX screenings, they don't charge you extra. It's still one of your free tickets. You get a free upgrade from medium to large on popcorn and drinks. You get a free birthday popcorn, free birthday drink. And you still rack up your points for all your concessions. So I generally have 10 or 15 bucks a month in free reward stuff.
Yep.
The other cool thing that we've now used a couple of times is if you have multiple friends with A-list, you could do a thing called Entourage where you book all the seats. And I'm like, hey, I'm booking this for my entourage. There's Jay and Chris and it just sends them their tickets. And I don't got to like Venmo or take a screenshot or do anything. It just goes here. And then when it pops into their app, it's like, hey, this is one of your 3 for the week.
Yep. Love it.
I'll tell you, if you're planning on seeing more than 2 movies, 2 or more movies a month, if you can find 2 or more movies a month to see, you can do it. The other thing that was brought up on, again, another one of the shows I watch is, and Jay, I want you to talk about the screen unseen again in a second, is I think it's helping the movie business in that if there's like a movie on the bubble, right, where you're like, do I want to see it in the theater? If you have A-list, right, you're more likely to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go catch it because I don't have to pay any extra. Like I saw the new Zemeckis movie Here with Tom Hanks, right? And like, had I not had A-list in some time, I probably would have caught that one when it came to streaming. But I had a moment. Jess was off doing something with Jordan, and I was like, you know what? F it. Boop. One of my 3 movies that I watched that month, but I didn't have to pay for it. You know, Didn't pay any extra. I just went in and saw it. So there you go. And then, Jay, you've seen a couple of the screen unseens. Explain how that system works.
Oh, it's great. So, Screen Unseen is a cheaper movie. So, a lot of people don't like to use their A-lister for the Screen Unseen. It's typically, I want to say, like $8, but you do not know what movie it is. And the movie that you are seeing it before it releases to the general republic. Oh my God. General public. So it's typically like a week or so before it actually releases. You pay like $8. It'll tell you the rating. So it'll say like rated R or rated, I don't know, PG-13, whatever. You go
and the runtime. They always tell you the runtime.
Well, they kind of they don't give you the precise runtime. They change the numbers up a little bit because then you can kind of guess what movie there is, like
it
what
might
movie
be.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
But the runtime's not exactly correct. And you can go on Reddit and there's a whole Reddit like just dedicated to like people guessing what movie it is. Now, if you are in Seattle, you have the luxury. So you go on the app, you pick your seats like you typically would. $8. It's supposed to be a surprise. You're not supposed to know until you get to the theater and like the movie starts playing and you're like, sick, I'm watching Gladiator. But because we live in Seattle, if you really, really, really want to, you can actually go onto Reddit and the East Coast people are going to post like 2 hours before Screen Unseen actually shows in Seattle. Because I want to say Screen Unseen's typically around like 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can just Google and be like, oh, what's the Screen Unseen for today? And then be like, okay, I don't want to go see that movie. And then cancel your tickets before it actually airs and get your money back, blah, blah, blah.
Or get your AMC ticket for the week back.
Yeah. But the thing I love about the Screen Unseen is that it forces me to see a movie that I typically wouldn't see. So, like, people were pissed that Gladiator 2 was the Screen Unseen.
Which is silly to me because you still got to see it early.
Yeah.
You still got to see it like 4 days before it came out.
Yep. So I was like, oh, sick. Here we go. But a lot of people online were pissed. I think they did that to try to drum up the talk and the hype of Gladiator 2.
I also think some of the Screen Unseens have been pretty bad. Like they're kind of indie films and stuff like that, where it's like, and people go in and are like, eh. Or what was that one really bad the really graphic horror movie that came out this year? Somebody in the chat helped me out. There was one that came out this year, and they did that as a Screen Unseen, and people were really upset about it. I like the concept. And again, another good reason to have A-list, right? By the way, hashtag not a sponsor, but AMC, if you'd like to give me some of your money, I would take it, right? If you'd like to sponsor the show. We're already A-list members.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let us know what you think. Are the movie theaters back? Do you have A-list? Do you like A-list? What do you think?
I like A-list.
Yeah. All right. Again, chat, if you have any questions or comments you would like us to chat about, go ahead and throw it into the chat, and we will try and hit that up here shortly. Smiler, the Vampire Girl movie. No, it was like it's part of like a trilogy. I forget what it was.
I do just want to point out that it's a little Chris, by the way. It's not Big Chris. That's in the chat.
I know. Yeah, I saw.
Okay. Just wanted to make that known.
I saw. I pay attention when you guys are in the chat, I promise. Do AMCs have alcohol dining and child? Some of them do. The one at Pacific Place does. They have booze. But if you're looking for like a Cinebar or iPick, no, that's not really AMC's shtick. I will say they have really improved their theater experience. The seats generally are good, right?
Yep.
The concessions are solid. If I have to watch that fucking Nicole Kidman commercial again, I'm going to stab someone. Pacific Place is in downtown Seattle. It's the AMC downtown.
So they did make that commercial shorter. They're not playing
the whole thing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So we've had
but it's still bad.
I've talked to so many friends about this. Okay, look. Do not advertise for me
Oh,
something that I am already doing.
real quick, Alex, let's go ahead and do an advertisement for our show, the Error Code Show. Please tune in weekly at 8:30 standard or Pacific Standard Time every
Yes.
week to see this new show called the Error Code Show.
Yeah, we're gonna need to record bumpers before the end of the year.
Yeah, something I don't know.
Yes. Um. Yeah, Pacific Place, downtown Seattle. Um. Again, I generally like their theaters better than Regal.
Yeah.
Um. It's not as expensive as Cinnabar. I know why people go to, and I like places like that. In fact, there's a place in Yakima that's very similar to Cinnabar, but more intimate that I absolutely adore. I go there every time I'm in town. It's literally connected to an Irish pub, so it's an Irish
Oh,
pub and movie
nice.
theater with dinner service in the theater if you don't want to eat in the pub before your movie, right? And then booze in
Nice.
the movie theater. Like, I absolutely adore it. Big plug for that place if you're ever in Yakima. It's a great theater. Um, so yeah, take that for what it's worth. All right, back to the rundown. Where'd you
Oh
go,
yeah, there's a
rundown?
thing. We have like a script that we're supposed to follow. Let's see.
Okay. Oh, we're back to this.
What are we back to?
We're back to talking. Somebody. Oh wait. Well, we'll probably do that one at the end, so my child is asleep. You are going to talk about a documentary called Hail
Oh,
Satan.
that's the topic you want to talk about? Like
I
a
mean,
child?
it's that or Spotify Wrapped. I don't want to. We can hit the Biden
Uh,
pardon son thingy real quick. I'll tell you I can give you my quick take on it. I don't care.
I think
I
it kind of makes sense, right? Like if you're watching kind of the country kind of
fall
from your
apart.
you fall apart and shit's going in the gutter and everyone's talking shit about you, fuck it, right? But those of you that I don't know, Biden did pardon his son. He said that he wouldn't, and he was facing like I think tax and gun charges or something. Um, but yeah, I think it was very much just a like, I don't care, like, F it, I'm gonna do it.
I think so too. I think Kash Patel being named FBI director or potentially being the FBI director and the comments that Kash Patel has made is what changed his mind. Right? I
Mhm.
really think he thinks that they're going to go on this whole political persecution spree and that his son's going to get caught up in it. Um, I just don't like it. To anybody who's outraged about it, I've seen people who are like the right wingers are like, see, they're I don't care what you have to say. I don't care, right? And to anybody who's like, well, I'm like, dude, Trump pardoned his son-in-law's dad for a far worse series of crimes, in my opinion, and now he's the ambassador to France.
Yeah.
Trump just named him the ambassador to France, and he pardoned it. Like, you know,
See, if you were good at networking, this could be you.
yeah. Somebody in the chat said pardon everyone else. You know what? I'm all for him going full Dark Brandon before he leaves and just, I mean, they said immunity. Like, go nuts, dude. I don't care. Like, at this point, like, norms and like decorum and all that shit is shot the fuck out the window. Who
Yeah.
fucking cares? Like, do you really give a shit?
Yeah. As long as we don't get like another Fast and the Furious movie, I'm good.
You don't want any more Fast and Furious. I think you're screwed.
I
I
don't
think
want it.
those are coming.
No,
They're
no
coming.
more family movies.
They're
No.
coming. They're coming. Come on, man.
I know they're coming.
I know it's diminishing returns for the studio, but they're still making those fucking things.
Yeah. Oh
Um.
God.
Okay. Moving right along. You saw a documentary, Jay, about
Yeah.
Satan.
Satan. You know, like the person that you summon when you play D&D and all of that kind of stuff. That guy.
Yeah.
Um which that is so funny to me that that was like a thing. Anyways, yeah, so okay, I watched a documentary on Hulu called Hail Satan. It is not a new one. It came out in 2019. It just happened to pop up on Hulu. Decided to watch it, and it is hilarious. Um, so just so you know, kind of like a little bit about like my background. I grew up like really religious. Um, there was a moment where my father and I, we were homeless at one point. The church stepped in, gave us a place to stay, really helped my dad get back on his feet. And then I went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, every week. When I started working, I gave 10% back to the church, and I was a good little law abiding church boy, I guess. Not anymore though. Um, so yeah, in 2015, for instance, Florida legalized same-sex marriage. Churches refused to officiate weddings. That's when I stepped in and became a Florida notary, and I offered to do weddings for free as long as they would just invite me to the reception. So essentially, feed me, wine me, and I'll do whatever you want, but for free. So that was like my official break with Christianity because that was an outrage. That wasn't a I got a lot of really bad comments about that. So that was when I stepped away. Um anyways, back to the documentary. So it follows the rise of the Satanic Temple, and they really kind of go after separation of church and state, which I feel like is
Mm-hmm.
very important in even like today. Um, because when we don't have separation of church and state, we see a lot of things being passed, like, obviously Roe versus Wade being overturned, bills targeting LGBT. We have bathroom laws. Ooh, there you go, chat plug right there. Um, and so the Satanic Temple had a very interesting approach. Every time when um, a group wanted to put the Ten Commandments publicly in front of a governmental building and display them, they would then push to have a satanic statue
I've
also
seen
on
these in the
display.
news. Yeah.
And it was under the context of freedom of religion, which is America, a very American concept. So in the documentary, you see like the satanic panic. You see people hating this group. Um, but however, if the local government agrees not to put up the Ten Commandments, then the satanic church also backs down. So they're really just doing it to try to have this clear separation of church and state. And I think the documentary does a really good job of explaining the religion, showing the good that they do, because they do actually do good, um, and it shows their fight for separation in church and state. And it also shows like how some people of that religion take it a little too far and gives the entire religion a bad name. But anyways, it's a fun hour and a half documentary. If you have the extra time, go check it out on Hulu. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was fun. Interested in what you think.
So I've seen a bunch of the articles every time the Temple of Satan does this stuff, and I always find it very funny. I, like you, grew up in a fairly religious household, and without getting it too much into the details of that, I obviously have broken away from the church, um, and have my issues with modern evangelical Christianity.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so take that for what it's worth. Again, probably a topic for another day, but yes, I they do it to make a point. I think they also do it. It's kind of like it was trolling before trolling was a thing, right? Where they're like, "Oh, you would like the Ten Commandments up there? Cool. We
Yeah.
then obviously we need a something for Satan, right? Like
Yeah.
it's trolling before there was trolling, and I think that's good, right?
Yeah.
And, anytime you're kind of pushing power like that, I am a fan, right? Um,
Yeah.
this kind of brings me to a thing with like Netflix and Hulu. I hate that these documentaries and these programs kind of go under the radar, right? Netflix and
Yeah.
Hulu produce a shit ton of these and distribute a shit ton of these, and they never fucking advertise them. Like, you never
Nope.
see advertising for anything on, like, Netflix has so much fucking content that nobody knows exists.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, real quick question.
Go.
It is 2024. It's at the end of 2024.
Yes, we have
Why-
less than a month left.
Why the fuck are there shit on Hulu and Netflix with no fucking trailer?
I'll be honest.
It pisses me off.
It really drives me absolutely nuts.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
I have my issues with Netflix because they are actively, in a lot of ways, and very openly trying to kill the movie theater business, right? They don't like movie theaters. They want to replace movie theaters. They want it all to go to streaming. And, you know, their founder has been very, very clear on what their goal is. Now, this is, again, why when we did our topic earlier, where you had this just blowout weekend, right? And in fact, I'm going to bring something up to kind of bring this forth, because first off, there's been a couple of directors who are starting to push back against the streamers, right? So there was a movie that came out recently called Wolf that had George Clooney and Brad Pitt in it, and Apple TV Plus released it, and Apple TV was like, oh, no, we're going to do theatrical, and then they didn't theatrically release this, and then they were like, it did well enough, and then they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to do number 2, and the director said, fuck, no, we're not, because you didn't theatrically release it, right?
Yeah.
Here's the point that I want to make for the Netflix of the world, because not only is not only, hang on, I'm trying to get to the box offices for this year. Okay, here we go. Not only are they trying to actively screw them, they're screwing themselves. Here's the point that I want to make to the people like Netflix and Apple, right? Because you guys, again, you're trying to make money. Okay? I'm going to go to this one again. Okay? Check this out. Inside Out 2, 652 million domestically. Deadpool and Wolverine, 636 million domestically, right? Wicked, 275 million domestically. Twisters, 267. Moana 2, 239 million. By the end of the year, Disney's going to have at least 2 and maybe $3 billion films that they will have made $1 billion plus each in the box office, right? And Netflix, you're like, wow, we don't want to release it. Like, do you just not want money? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
What is your... And so I'm glad 2 things, right? Disney is pushing it back against the short release schedule, because I think the studios that are doing that are stupid, right? They gave Deadpool and Wolverine a full-length release, right? It was out for, what, 3 months before it got anywhere near streaming? 4 months? Right? Which gave people time to go see it in the theater. And guess what? Deadpool and Wolverine made them $1.3 billion.
Nice.
Okay?
Yeah.
Disney's having a good year. They made 1.698. Between Deadpool and Inside Out 2, they're at $3 billion at the box office this year. $3 billion. Okay? And Netflix is like, we don't need to release. Like, guys, you're just giving away money. Right?
Yeah.
And again, I don't get it. Like, and then you guys don't bother to fucking advertise your stuff that's good. Right?
Yeah.
Hulu's getting better.
Mhm.
Right? But who owns Hulu?
Disney.
Disney.
Yep.
Right? So I see advertisements for Only Murders in the Building, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out, I highly recommend. Right?
Do you think that people that boycott Disney also boycott Hulu and also boycott ESPN?
So first off, their boycotts that I have seen have not had any meaningful impact on Disney in any way, shape, or form. Right? DeSantis eventually backed down on his fight with Disney. right?
Yeah.
Because Disney's the number one employer in its state.
Yeah. It's like there's so much entwined when you get into Florida. There's so much that Disney's entwined with. Like gas is cheaper in Florida specifically so that like people from Alabama and Georgia can drive down and drive through the state of Florida cheaper to get to Disney. Like there's so many like little tiny laws and little like rules that they put in place to have Disney and Florida go hand in hand, like work together.
Yep.
And yeah, it was so stupid. Like my wife and I, we left Florida really kind of when all that stuff was like kicking off. And I was like, this is like the dumbest thing. Like Disney, I'm sorry, but like kind of makes Florida. Like the reason why Florida is like still a state is because of Disney.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Right? They're the number one taxpayer in the state. They're the number one employer in the state. And here's the thing, again, since Bob Iger came back, he put them back on the right track. We're going to do full theatrical releases for our films. We're not going to throw them straight to streaming, right? Moana 2 was supposed to be a straight to Disney Plus series. That was what it was originally conceived as, under Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek said, this is going to be a straight to Disney Plus series. Bob Iger took back over and said, no, it is not. We're going to make this a movie. Now, here's the thing. Where do you think Disney did better? Making it a Disney Plus show, or, I'm going to bring this up for our lovely audience, it's been out for a week, not even a week, $423 million.
Yeah.
The streamers want to act like they had this whole thing kicked, and specifically Netflix. Netflix kicked everybody's butt for a few years, and the studios freaked out. But I think the ones that are learning now are the ones that are like, wait a minute. There's only so many streaming. And the chat's talking about it right now. Different stuff they've canceled. Right? You just said you canceled Disney Plus. Right?
Yeah. Which evidently Dan is on Disney Plus, by the way. Evidently.
There's only so many streaming services people are going to get.
True.
They're easy to cancel.
Super easy.
Right? And unless you have a constant stream of great content coming, and again, if you're Netflix, especially if you're Netflix, but Hulu is slightly guilty of this too, you don't advertise half the good stuff on your platform.
No.
So people don't know it's there to watch it. Right? How many times do we hear about a Netflix show that came out 2 years ago that suddenly goes viral and everybody's like, hey, where'd this come from? Because they don't advertise.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere for them to advertise. Right? It's absolutely ridiculous. By the way, you should get Disney Plus back, because here's the thing. Somebody brought this up. The new Star Wars show just dropped.
God.
This week. And it is absolutely... We're 2 episodes in. No spoilers. It's absolutely adorable. Okay? It is such a thematically... And Jay, you know what I mean by thematically, right?
Yeah.
Just from like style. Very much that Amblin Entertainment, 1980s kid adventure, right? It's Goonies. It's E.T. It's all that good stuff from that time period in a Star Wars show, right? It centers on the kids, right? There's a good mystery already, right? The kids they got are great, right? It has Jude Law in it. Who's
wow.
One of my favorite actors, right? It was described to me as Andor meets Stranger Things, kinda. But you know what I actually loved? I'll tell you this. There is some scenes that, like, for the first time in Star Wars, like, you know in Star Wars we used to, like, we have Desert Planet and Cold Planet And this planet, right?
Swamp planet.
Do you know where these people live? You know where
Where?
the show starts? Like a suburb. Like legit. Like, you know, in the Star Wars universe, there had to be suburbs somewhere. Right? Where there's like people and sidewalks and buses, and, you know, just normal shit. That's where it starts.
Literally dropped yesterday.
Yeah. It's called Skeleton Crew. If you haven't watched it yet, they dropped the first 2 episodes right out the gate. The showrunner for the show is John Watts, who did all 3 of the Marvel Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
He did No Way Home, Far From Home, and Homecoming. He's the showrunner for the show. Right?
Okay.
So it's his creative vision pushing the show through. I really think that it's a return to, they've had Star Wars on Disney Plus has been very up and down. To put it lightly.
What? Where's been the dips? Where's the dips?
I think we all know where the dips have been.
Not with Trinity.
The sad thing is Acolyte was this close to being a really good show.
I watched all of it. Obviously.
I did too.
I was really excited at the very, very, very end. Who we kind of saw a little teaser of. I was like, oh my gosh, like we're finally going to have him on TV, like on some sort of movie or whatever. What I actually like heard a rumor that they decided not to cancel.
So here's the thing. Manny Jacinto just had a quote this week. Hang on. I will pull it up for the audience. There was a quote this week. Manny Jacinto appearing at FanFest something. Right? Where was he at? Oh, he was at San Francisco Fan Expo, right? And here's the quote. Somebody asked how he was connected. Oh, because they were talking about the person you said that was at the end of Acolyte that we see briefly, right? And they said to him, how is this connected? And his response was, oh man, that's a tough question. They're not connected. They're definitely not. Oh man, how do I answer this? What time is it? There's a lot of theories like who he is because we never actually know his true identity. Example, is Kamir's name actually Kamir? Right, his character. We definitely wanted to explore it. There was going to be more of Plagueis in the 2nd or if not the 3rd season of the show, but I just can't say because, you know, we could come back. I don't want to spoil anything or give anybody false hope, but I would just say there was a lot more to explore for sure. A lot of people are taking this to mean that Disney has not given up on the stuff that they started. And that they're talking to Manny Jacinto and others about doing a 2nd season. Now, this could be like a Rings of Power. Right? Where the first season of the Rings of Power was widely panned. And most people were not happy about it.
I loved it.
Okay. A lot of people really disliked the first season. But then the 2nd season was much better.
Yeah.
And people really enjoyed the 2nd season.
Yeah. But Lord of the Rings does take a long time to story build. Like,
and I think that because Acolyte, and again, we were just talking about kind of the Chapek versus Iger eras at Disney.
Yeah.
It was started under Chapek. They were doing it the Chapek way, and Iger didn't get to touch it. Iger, with Iger back in charge, and with Iger running things. Now, all that being said, Kathleen Kennedy is still in charge of Lucasfilm, so who the fuck knows, right? So this is again where, like Skeleton Crew, I get really excited. And we've had shows that started really well. Obi-Wan started really well. Did you watch Obi-Wan?
I did, yeah.
It started well. And then it
Yeah.
stumbled in the middle. And then there was
Yep.
some great stuff toward the end. And then they didn't stick the landing.
Right.
Right? I want to have hope because I love Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I honestly I want to say give him another shot at it because again, conceptually there's a lot there,
Oh, yeah.
right?
So I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say it. You can't kink shame me. Um, I loved the Acolyte because it showed me that I I could also become a Jedi. That you could be the world's shittiest Jedi and you could still be a Jedi. Okay, it was just the worst group of Jedi in the world, I swear.
I will say I love that. What was it, the episode 3 or 4 fight scene? The one with the 6 Jedi versus him.
Oh, yeah.
That fight so things I liked about the Acolyte. I loved the choreography. Like the very Chinese wushu style of fights that they were doing. That lightsaber fight between Manny Jacinto's character and everyone else, right? Like when he even he put the lightsaber into his cortosis or head, right? It was a good fight scene. There were problems with the show.
Yeah, there was a lot of problems. I
love Manny Jacinto's acting in it. I thought he did a good job as Khmer. Now, for writing, you can ask my wife. We got into episode 2, and they you know how it was before the reveal for Manny Jacinto. I was like, he's a bad guy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
She was like, what? I was like, he's lying to her. He's the stranger, dude, whatever they're saying. And then when he showed up with the mask on and he did that head twitch shit, I was like, that's Manny Jacinto. And she's like, how do you know? And I'm like, look how he's moving his head.
Yeah. It was very predictable. There were there was a lot of good ideas in it. I like the whole witch group
Interesting.
thing. Very interesting. It just wasn't
It wasn't executed.
Yeah, they just didn't carry it through well.
So on Obi-Wan, here's where I think that they've fallen down. I think they keep trying to make TV shows at Lucasfilm specifically.
I mean,
they keep trying to make TV shows like they're movies.
Yeah.
And they're not. It's not the same medium. So I think they keep trying to make really long movies and then just chop them up into shows.
Yeah.
And it makes the pacing choppy. It makes everything choppy. Chat, Jacinto got big in The Good Place. He was in that show, The Good Place, with Kirsten Bell and Ted Danson. He was one of the main characters in that show. That's where he kind of got his big breakout role. And he was very funny in that show. He was very, very funny. He's done some guest spots on The Good Doctor. What else was he in? Did I know? He's done a lot. He did a lot of stuff. He was in Top Gun Maverick for about 90 seconds.
Was he?
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at his IMDb, he's done a crap ton of just different stuff. But yeah, The Good Place is where he really got his break. Or no, The Good Place. He was in an episode of The Good Doctor. He played a professional skateboarder or surfer, one of those extreme sports guys, in an episode. But The Good Place, he was in 50 episodes of over the 4 seasons as a character named Jason Mendoza, and he was very funny in that show. So if you don't watch The Good Place, it's pretty good. Somebody in the chat saying the sort of thing, people I liked Obi-Wan. a lot of people really hated Obi-Wan.
I
I think it dragged in the middle.
yeah.
Somebody did a fan edit of it and turned it into a movie, and apparently the pacing is just 10 times better. Like it's a 2 hour 20-minute movie, and it's fine. Um,
I
I love
I
Ewan
thought it was
McGregor,
okay. Oh yeah, definitely.
and I
100%.
the fight between him and Vader was great. The last fight between him and Vader was fucking amazing, and it gave so much context to other stuff, right? Like the certain point of view, like the point where Vader's like, Obi-Wan, you didn't kill me, I did, right? Like, and then that kind of feeds into the original trilogy, right? With the, you know, someone named Darth Vader killed your father. Like, there was some good context there. And when they just couldn't stick the landing.
I think one of my favorite fan edits. There's a video on YouTube where Luke Skywalker's like, "Oh, you knew my father," and the look on Obi-Wan's face, like, "Oh," and like it goes into this like PTSD like war flashback of like him like hacking up Vader like
Yeah.
his like arms and stuff, and he's like, "Yes," and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Some of the chat goes, why can't I never find these fan edits? Usually you have to find them in certain forums. They're usually private links to certain YouTube videos that are set to private that you can only get through a backdoor link, because they would be fucking copyright struck in a minute. Disney
See if
would
I can
go
find it.
Disney would go fucking crazy. I had a copyright issue with our channel a couple of weeks ago when Jay was out, and we did some like literally some minor clips from the Daily Show, and it caught it instantly, and I had to like send a net message to the Daily Show people, controllers of their YouTube channel, be like, look, it's fair use, and they finally like let it go, but it's a thing.
I think I found it real quick. Obviously, I'm not watching the entire video right now, but I think this is
Give it a shot.
Obi-Wan has PTSD.
Oh, is that the one
It's
you were talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes long, but I think that's it. That
Yeah.
looks like it's it. But
So take that. I think we're gonna have to get Jay to get Disney Plus back to, maybe we can do a recap on Skeleton Crew. I think you're really gonna enjoy it. Did you like the Goonies
oh yeah.
and like E.T.?
Yep.
And
And Stranger Things.
yeah. So I think you're
Yeah.
gonna like this show. I think you're really gonna like this show. It's solid. And it actually releases in perfect timing for our show, because it comes out every like Monday or Tuesday. So we can watch it just before our show and do like have an auto topic for the week.
Nice. Okay.
So
Yeah, I'll oh.
Kids on Speeders. Yeah. Legit. So, and actually, not commonly known thing. In the original Star Wars role-playing game, one of the classes you could play was Kid. Like straight up child. Who got caught up in the adventure. All right, chat. One last chance. Any other topics you'd like to talk to us? We've been going for about 90 minutes now, so we're gonna bust it here in the next 10. But we can hit some last minute stuff. If there's anything else you'd like us to talk about, put it in there now.
Ahsoka was pretty much a kid that got caught up in the Clone Wars.
Yep. West End, where are you when we need you? Oh, here's one we can talk about, and maybe I'll throw this on there. Okay, last topic of the day, and this one will probably take our last 10 minutes. Here we go. Elon Musk threatened to buy Hasbro to take control of Dungeons and Dragons.
What?
So,
What?
that's a thing that happened in the last week.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's fucking hilarious. It is hilarious. So I'm going to bring this up for you guys so you can kind of see what happened. This all came about because somebody else on Twitter was like, woke, D&D got woke, right? And so he was like, here we go. because of course he did.
The chat saying this is bad, but also like
So Ian Miles
Hasbro
Chong
is
was
bad.
like, blah, 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 they're woke, right? And here goes Elon Musk. How much is Hasbro? So, obviously, that thing, what's that mean for Magic? Probably nothing, but still. It means he'd probably fire half the Magic staff and then have AI people generating Magic cards. Again, this doesn't have anything to do with anything, his threatening to do it, besides his fight against the, quote, what he calls the woke mind virus, right? Because Elon apparently has lost his mind. I'm going to let you go first, Jay, before I insert my thoughts on this. Go ahead.
Why does this happen to rich people? Have you noticed this? Like people get rich and then they just like lose their minds, like J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Like you start from like very humble beginnings and you're pretty cool. You seem like a pretty cool person, and then you just get a lot of money. This reminds me of a what was it, a Good Charlotte song? Like, if money is really a problem, we should all just rob them. Like, yes. I don't understand what it is. Like, they get so rich and then they just like go insane.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't think he'll do it. I think this is just him like staying relevant in the press.
But, I don't think he'll do it either. To answer a couple of questions, if I was going to ballpark, well, actually, we can actually look right now. Hasbro's market cap today is $9.38 billion. So he would have to, because in order to do that level of a takeover, he would have to buy it at a premium. So what do we think? Probably 11? Today's market cap's 9.3. Jay, what do you think?
I don't know.
Today it's 67.26 a share. He'd probably have to go 75 to buy it out. He went high on Twitter too. He had to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at their market rate right now. What do you think?
I don't know. I think like 15 maybe.
That's a pretty high premium. You're talking he's going to buy it for what, 90 a share?
Their annual revenue is 5.
Yeah. Again, their market cap's 9.38 billion right now. So that's shares outstanding at the share price. So again, I think you'd have to make a premium play on it. I think you could probably do it for 80 a share. What's their 5-year high? 5-year high is, looks like it's about 105. It's the 5-year high. The highest it's been in the last year. Never mind. You're right. He'd have to go higher. It's been as high as 72 in the last 12 months. And that's year to date as well. Yeah, he'd probably have to go 85 a share. Ballpark. So what is that? Let's see if we can do some quick back of the napkin math. 9,300,000. Wait. All right, there we go. 300 million. Oh wait, let's actually go 300. Let's do this the right way. 38. Okay. So that's today's market cap divided by share per. So it's 140 million shares outstanding times $90 a share. Yeah, you're looking at it 12 and a half. Some change. For Hasbro. Okay, so somebody in the chat said, I don't know if this is good or bad because maybe he could kill it and drop it so low cheap actual fans can buy it. The problem is that's not the D&D IP alone. The value of the IP is a standalone IP. It gets complicated, and Jay, you might want to jump in here, because you're not just talking about revenue at that point. You're talking about brand valuation, right?
Yeah.
Which is very difficult, right? Because it's not just about how much money D&D made in the last 12 months. It's about on a 10x, like in a 10-year time period, what could the brand be worth to the right buyer?
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, Hasbro as a company, yeah, probably 12.5 billion. The D&D brand at 50 years old, the most recognizable name in tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think the brand alone is worth? Even if he ran Hasbro into the floor, probably $1.5 billion.
I don't know.
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
I don't know. I mean, that would take like a lot of sitting down, like combing through, like, and doing like a really evaluation. But
And
also, I mean, like,
and tell them brand valuations are hard
yeah,
because there's a lot of there's a lot of wiggly numbers in there.
there's a lot of. Also, I mean, are they going to come out with like another D&D movie?
If the right person had the rights to it, could they come out with a really good one that made MCU level money?
So it's, yeah. I don't know. Obviously, it's still number one name. I think they've kind of lost a little bit of value in the recent years just because I hear a lot of like negative feelings against Hasbro.
Yeah,
But again, if the right person buys it, they could turn it around. Um, so yeah, I don't really know, but it's up there.
So, to give you an example, the tabletop gaming segment last year, and they actually pulled out D&D last year, which they normally don't do. Now, they made a crap ton off D&D in 2023 because of Baldur's Gate and their cut of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
right?
that makes sense.
They actually brought it out. There's the cash flows. I'm looking through their investor reports right now. Tabletop gaming made, it's 363 for Q4. I think they made about $1 billion last year in rev.
So they made,
just over $1 billion.
So they made $1 billion, but how much do they have asset worth?
They don't, and that's the problem.
Oh,
because that's a non-GAAP thing.
yeah.
So if you look at their balance sheet, they don't break that out because the balance sheet is going to only have, that's going to be all of their IP. So that's Transformers, Magic, D&D. They're never going to break that out separately. They've got goodwill brand valuation at about $2.3 billion on their balance sheet. That's their goodwill line. That's where they've placed the number, is $2.3 billion. But again, that's Magic, Transformers, D&D, Monopoly. That's all of their brand valuations in one.
Yeah.
And again, that's how much they're valuing it at, not how much they would sell it for.
Yep.
Right? That's the other thing too, is people have to realize that just because they're valuing it at that, if you're D&D, you're not giving that up for 2.7, you're giving it up for 8 because you're going to make money. Yeah, GI Joe is part of Hasbro's thingy. Yeah. So do I think that Elon is going to buy Hasbro? No. I agree with Jay. No. I don't think it's worth the $12 billion he would have to pay for it.
Yeah.
How much would it affect? Who knows? He'd probably
Yeah.
fire everybody in the game development division. He would fire, and I guarantee you. So what would happen? He would go in there and he would fire every single current writer for D&D right now. They'd all be fired
Yep.
the next day. They'd be gone. That's the first thing he would do. Because again, he would be doing it to kill the woke mind virus, right? And get my woke out of Dungeons and Dragons, right? So now you're 3-4 years away from another release.
Yeah. I honestly, in today's world, like marketing is everything. I think we talked about this a little bit last week.
Yep.
And I think Elon, looking at a person like Elon does this thing every so often where he takes a very hot topic, just says some random fucking shit about it so that he starts trending on
Mm-hmm.
social media platforms, because the more that people talk about you, um, the more exposure you're getting. You're staying relevant. I think that's what this is. At the time, I did not understand him wanting to buy Twitter at all. Um, but when he started getting political, then it made sense to me. I was like, this is probably why he wanted to go and buy Twitter, so that he could cozy up with Trump, um, and have his own like social media platform. I think he was thinking like that far ahead with it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's just no reason for him to do it.
So the thing that I want to point out to everybody on the Twitter thingy, and this is again where things bite you, right? He didn't buy Twitter willingly. Okay?
So
I
yeah, that's true.
I think that again, the thing that everybody forgets about is this: is I think I'm reaffirming what Jay is saying here, right? Is he does this stuff to be relevant, right? To get himself in the news, and so he goes, "I'm going to buy Twitter." But what everybody forgets is he tried to back out of the deal. He made
Yeah.
the offer on paper and said, "Here, I'll buy it for $44 billion." And the shareholders went, "Cool, we're getting a payday." And then he
Yeah.
tried to back out, and they were like, "No, no, no, bitch. If you back out, you owe us, I think it was $10 billion, right? And you get nothing, right?"
Yeah.
And they sued him and said, "No, we met our requirements. You're going to buy this," right? In his complaint, Twitter's taking a strong position that Musk had a case of buyer's remorse and that not bots is the reason for his decision to walk away from the deal. He tried to walk away from Twitter, right? And they said, "Oh, hell no. You went through this whole rigmarole. We accepted your offer," right? The shareholders said, "Fine. You want to pay us $44 billion for the thing? We'll take it,"
Mm.
right? And so, again, do I think he's going to buy Hasbro? No. Because, again, Hasbro would do the same thing to him. Right? Come in here and make us a $15 billion offer. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Especially with how rich people shit, I don't know how much... I don't know if he can get the financing to do it. Especially not for a company... What did they make last year? I was just on their Q4. Hang on. What was their Q4? There's their safe harbor. Net revenue. $5 billion. $5 billion? No, sorry, not even that much. Oh no, that was just fourth quarter. Yeah, so $5 billion. They made $5 billion in 2023. I had what's their year to date for 2024? Hang on. See, now I'm happy now because see Jay's one of those people that when I go, it's time to read 10Ks, right? We're gonna read financial results. Year to date. It's the press release. I don't want the press release. Safe harbor statement. Made 1.28. Net revenue was $3 billion as of the end of Q3. They're going to go down this year because they don't have Baldur's Gate. It's going to be lower. Earnings are up. Earnings per share is up. EBIT is up. Yeah, they've got a firmly solid financial, Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think Musk's. So the problem is that it's actually the opposite of that, Dog Dad. He is a business guy. He is not an engineer. That's the thing. Is a lot of people are like, he's this. No, he's not. Okay. When he was at PayPal, everywhere he's been, right? He didn't found Tesla, right? He bought Tesla. He didn't found SpaceX. He bought SpaceX. Like all these companies, he's a business guy. That's all he is. That's all he knows. If they didn't put out new content that didn't suck, they would go. I want to see, because most of the new 5e release for the new PHB is happening basically in this last quarter. I want to see what the numbers are at the end of the year. How much they sell in the 2024, not 5.5 new PHB, that's going to tell me a lot. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. They won't know until the end of them. Because they'll put out their financials in, probably February? What do you think, Jay? Probably February?
Probably.
End of January?
There should be able to find it.
I'll tell you, sir. Their 10Ks came out. Yeah. Last year, their 10K came out in February.
Okay.
So
Elon, it looks like Elon could, if he really wanted to, he could do it. I don't think he would, because he's not this type of person, but it looks like Elon has enough in assets to just simply take out a loan and buy fucking Hasbro. But he wouldn't. But I think if he really, really, really buckled down and wanted to, he probably could.
who are
I'm
the,
not like
he
I'm
would
not,
probably
like,
try and
digging
get some
through.
of the largest shareholders to stay.
And also, I mean, keep in mind, he does have this fancy new cabinet position.
Pseudo cabinet position. Oh, BlackRock owns a big chunk. Vanguard owns a big chunk of Hasbro. I don't know who Capital Research is. BlackRock has a pretty decent chunk. They got 5.45%.
Yeah, but BlackRock owns everything. Honestly.
Again, Vanguard has 11.42. Lawyers. Goldman Sachs has 2%. Wow, BlackRock actually has more than that because they have under two different sections. They've got BlackRock. State Street's got a bunch. Some mutual funds have it. American funds, Vanguard 500, Vanguard smaller cap, American funds. So Vanguard is the top shareholder, single shareholder at Hasbro. They would totally sell at 90 a share. How much would they make on that? Let's look. God, they would make so much money. $15 million shares, almost 16 million. 15,924, 811 times 90. They'd make 1.43 billion. That'd be the sale price to Vanguard.
Yeah.
They'll take it.
Yep.
They'll take it. And they're actually buying more. So, yeah. No, I don't think Elon's going to do it. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think Elon's actually going to buy it? based on what Jay and I see in these financials, no. He's just talking again. And again, he had to be forced to buy Twitter. And as the chat pointed out, he just bought the presidency. He's kind of busy, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. I think that's where we're going to call it for the night. Jay, what do you think?
I think we're at a good spot. Tune in next week. We'll talk about, I don't know, bathroom stuff. I mean, you were supposed to talk about why poop is fake.
Maybe we'll get to poop is fake and Santa Claus next week. I actually got to put that one in the thingy. I got to put that in the. Where's that? I just put it in here. Where'd it go?
Are you looking for your folder with all the poop?
No, the one
have?
I put in earlier. I copy pasted it. There it is. Because someone asked if we believed in Santa Claus, but they also spelled it like the Santa Claus, like the movie.
Oh.
So we'll do that. I'm glad you. For the people that say they're needing this in the chat, and for the people that stuck, I see you. The numbers in the thingy. Thank you for streaming. Thank you guys for sticking with us for the whole show. We will be back next week. Jay's looking intently at something to the side of the screen. He's still looking at Elon's financials.
Yeah.
Look, if for even a couple of you we can make your day a little more funny because we're here goofing off, like that's worth it. It's a fun conversation.
Yeah.
So, Jay, you want to say goodbye to the folks?
Bye, everyone. Make sure to check out Dan's.
That one.
Yep.